Every tunnel level has their own unique best attack, and while other armies can be used, these attacks can 3-star any base design. Unless you're Town Hall 1. That's the tutorial. However, between Town Hall 2 and Town Hall 6, the attacks become really easy and for what's to come for future Town Hall levels. So, here are their best attacks if you're curious. With that being said, will your favorite attack strategy be here? Let's find out. Well, starting at Town Hall 7, we have the Mass Hog Rider, a super simple and strong attack strategy that is so strong, it gives you time to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Pretty much what you're going to do for a start is use a Hog Rider to lure out the enemy clan castle. You'll want to lure this over with a giant or a wizard or archer or barbarian, and then go ahead and deal with that by letting the giants distract the enemy clan castle and use wizards to help remove it. Your barbarian king is also going to be going in for the enemy barbarian king. I'd recommend bringing a baby dragon in to help deal with the clan castle and the barbarian king, so you can then start spamming in your Hog Riders. This is where you will want to use your heal spells all around the base. You mainly want to make sure that you are being careful of the double giant bomb. It's really important that you at least know to either surgically send them in or spam them in. Surgically prevents any sort of giant bombs from going off on your Hog Riders and will more than likely keep them all alive. Spamming them in really should only be used if you know that there are no double giant bomb spots. But if there are some, surgically placing them in is going to be better. The heal spells can just keep the Hog Riders alive as you go all the way around, and they'll have enough time and cleanup to get the 3-star, since you realistically will have more than enough time and the Hog Riders can just quickly move through the base. But I did not forget about the dragon attacks. At Town Hall 8, the Zap Dragons is incredibly strong and the only army that you need. You're pretty much going to use 4 lightning on 2 different air defenses for a total of 8 lightning spells that you're using. You're pretty much going to be going in for 2 air defenses that are covered by a sweeper, leaving 1 more. This then allows you to set the funnel one side with the king and a dragon, or you can just use the barbarian king, and on the other side, you're setting that funnel up with another dragon. This is going to then lead into you sending all of your dragons behind the air sweeper. It is really important that you do this in order to make sure that that final air defense that you haven't taken down is going to go down as you push through. Keep in mind that you do not have any leftover spells. You don't have a poison to deal with the enemy CC, and you don't have any sort of rage spells to quickly move through. But for the most part, you really won't need them. The dragons, a good group of them, can remove the enemy clan castle, and realistically, once all the air defenses are out of the picture, the dragons just have free reign to the rest of the base. It really doesn't take any time at all to move through, which is why I recommend a dragon rider within that clan castle, because it just makes this attack even stronger and just impossible to stop. And then there's the Queen Charge Lalo. Since you get the Archer Queen at Town Hall 9, it becomes really the strongest strategy that you can also use at higher Town Hall levels. You're basically using the Queen Charge. You want to make sure that you're funneling her in with something like a baby dragon or the Barbarian King in order to get the Queen to go into a given area. Your goal here is to make sure that you're removing the enemy Queen and the enemy clan castle troops. If you're not using your Barbarian King for funneling, you can always save him for later. In other words, you want to make sure that you are just charging into the base to get some sort of value off of the base, which will include wizard towers, archer towers, air defenses, the expos, sweepers, you name it. Anything that hits air is something that you should go for. Otherwise, you just want to deal with an enemy clan castle. Sometimes it might be a Lava Hound CC, which you can more than easily deal with. Otherwise, once you deal with the clan castle, you'll be able to use something like your Barbarian King to go for some additional value or create more of a funnel, but then start your lava loop. This is really important because you want to have a CC Hound and your own Hound, and just start surgically placing them in, or you could just spam them in, it really doesn't matter. But you want to make sure that you are getting the most out of your Queen Charge, so using haste spells for the balloons to move all the way through and get to key defenses, and freeze spells to specifically freeze up air defenses, sweepers, and wizard towers. Those are the best amounts of value that you can get out of them, but otherwise the haste spells are really good for getting some massive value thanks to pretty much getting those balloons all the way up to those key defenses. It's really important that you do that in order to have a lot of success. Just don't forget about your cleanup, because you're going to need the lava pups and the minions in order to make sure you're able to swiftly move through the base and get the 3-star without getting a time fail. However, that is not the only Queen Charge attack that you can use. You also got the Queen Charge Mass Miner, which is really easy and super dang strong. You pretty much want to make sure that you are Queen Charging one specific side of the base. Typically, what I would recommend is trying to go as deep into the base as you can. If you can't, that's completely fine, and if your queen dies a little too early, then that's also perfectly fine, because you might have the healers switch onto your Mass Miner. Now, of course, you want to make sure that you're queen charging for some splash buildings, but mainly the enemy clan castle. This is a super important thing, so you'll want to make sure that you are dealing with the enemy CC, and this will allow you to then create the other side of the funnel, typically using the king and the siege barrack. The siege barrack being one of the best siege machines at Town Hall 10, it makes this strategy very much possible, even with a short queen charge. So what that means for you is you'll be able to send them right the way in to the base, specifically the Mass Miner. That's where you'll use a heal spell in order to early on keep a lot of your miners alive with that heal from any sort of damage. Otherwise, you might have the healers move into your Mass Miner portion, and you should be able to continuously move in with the heal spells, specifically using them over splash damage defenses. So this will allow you to continue to work yourself across as long as you're able to use the heal on the Mass Miner in order to make sure that you're able to quickly move through, remove the Inferno and other splash buildings, and easily get through the rest of the base for a 3-star. And with the last couple Queen Charge attacks that we've gone through, we're back to spam. Town 11 is dominated by the Zap Witches, only strategy that you're going to need. Pretty much, you're going to be sending in 1 Earthquake and 4 Lightning spells on 2 Inferno towers. Once that happens, you can spread out your golems and bring in Ice Golem possibly, and use your witches. Spam them across the base, specifically where the golems are, and of course, the log launcher with the heroes. This will be able to move them into the base, specifically going in for the Eagle Artillery and the Clan Castle. Once you get rid of those, the base is practically yours. You can use free spells to mitigate damage from things like Expos, the Eagle Artillery, or the enemy Clan Castle, and you want to use a Warren ability as long as you're able to protect everything, which includes the log launcher. Other than that, once you clear the Eagle Artillery, the rest of the base is practically yours. It is this easy to get a 3-star that it is even easier to use my creator code CORRUPT, in order to support me and everything I do here on the channel. However, witches are not done. They have the super variant, the Super Witch Smash, being one of the other strong options at Town Hall 12. You're basically using a Warden Walk, typically using the Flame Flinger or the Lightning spells, or you can use both. If you notice a time and a place where you're able to use your Lightning spells to clear out an Inferno and then use your Flame Flinger to go in for the Town Hall, this is insanely good. You really don't need to use a Warden Walk in that situation, but if you're using both and you still want to use the Warden Walk, then that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, you want to make sure that you're creating the opposite side of the funnel with the King and Witches, and then also making sure that you're able to lure your Warden over with the use of the Super Witches and the Archer Queen. Don't worry if the ability goes off too early. You will have time to be able to continue to move through the base. You'll want to make sure though that you're breaking open compartments, especially if you're using both. You'll have less spells for jump, which means you need to make sure that you're bringing in multiple jump spells. Bringing in 3 rage spells though is incredibly good for your Super Witches. They're really slow walking, so you need something that's able to push them through the base, deal with the enemy CC, and being able to stay continuously raged up. That's going to keep a lot of the big boys up, and of course, it's going to keep the healers healing up the Super Witches a lot faster so they don't die. This is why they are insanely powerful on a wide variety of bases, and they're able to clear through almost anything. And realistically, you can either bring in Hog Riders in that Flame Flinger or Yeti to help clean up the outside of the base, since realistically, that is all that's going to be left of this. But let's now return to some Queen Charge attacks, which is specifically the Queen Charge hybrid. This is my personal favorite army, it still is, and for the most part, you're typically using the Queen Charge to go in for usually any sort of value, but specifically also trying to get funneling from the interior part of the base. So what I would always recommend is try to go in towards an area where it's going to be very exposed for a Queen Charge, or the enemy clan castle is there. If the enemy clan castle though is lureable, then you could always just use a couple of Hog Riders to lure that out, and then deal with the enemy clan castle troops from wherever you want, which means you're able to have more free reign to use that Queen Charge anywhere and send the hybrid in pretty much anywhere. Typically what I would recommend though is if you're not going in for the town hall with the Queen Charge, you might as well send the hybrid in towards the town hall, since you don't want to leave it as the final thing. Otherwise, you're at risk of getting a 1-star. Setting up the other side of the funnel with the Siege Barrack and the Barbarian King, and then you can send in your Miners, Hog Riders, Warden, and the Royal Champion. You should always make sure, especially if you're going into the Town Hall, to use a early Grand Warden ability to protect everything as they move in towards the Town Hall. Other than that, an early heal spell is really nice, and you want to save your next heal spell for in the back end. This is going to help a lot of your hogs and your miners stay alive and more than easily get through the rest of the base. You just want to make sure that that heal is in a good spot where it can keep a lot of those troops alive, to where then you can allow them to finish off the rest of the base, including the Eagle Artillery. Even if it's one of the final things remaining, this attack strategy is really strong and can still go through it. Now, some of you might think that the Hydra is far stronger at Town Hall 14. Well, honestly, Blizzard Lalo just knocks it out of the park. You're basically using the Battle Blimp and a Lava Hound to go in for a nearby air defense that can get you to lure out the clan castle, deal with the town hall if possible, and just get value. That is entirely what the Blizzard is all about, making sure that you're able to get multiple defenses off of the base, and of course, being able to remove possibly the town hall. If you can't get to the town hall, you always need to have easy access to it with the king and the queen. But you're using that Blizzard to get as much value as possible, anything that hits air and ground, or even removing an enemy hero. Which then leads me into the hero dive that you actually need to do. Of course, you want to deal with the enemy clan castle, and then use your heroes to go in for an enemy hero, whether this is the enemy queen or the enemy royal champion. If you've already taken one down with the Blizzard, then that's perfectly fine, and it means that you really have no use for the headhunters, because you're typically sending them in with the Lalo for a leftover enemy hero. You also have the Royal Champion that you can use to carve out a little bit more of a path for your Lalo attack, which then allows you to continuously move through the base while having very solid lava loon pathing. You'll want to make sure that you are using haste spells to get your balloons to air defenses, scatter shots, and of course the multi-target infernos. Other than that, you've got free spells which are specifically designed to deal with said splash buildings, but also making sure that you're able to freeze up sweepers and anything else that you think is going to hinder the rest of this army, which is why it is so dang strong and really good as a follow-up Lalo attack. Since Town Hall 15 is only dominated by a handful of strategies, the Zap Titans is honestly the one that stands out among all of them. You're basically using the lightning spells to specifically go in for funneling purposes. This is typically on something like an Expo, Inferno, Spell Towers, Monolith, or even the scatter shots. So you have a lot of options in terms of it, but you mainly want to use the lightning spells to help funnel for your main portion and also help get to the town hall with your flame flinger. This is why you're typically using the flame flinger, so you can remove the town hall, use a warden walk to tank any mortars, but also help create the funnel, so that whole thing really speeds up the process. Now, of course, what you're going to be setting up on the opposite side of things is going to be using your Barbarian King and 2 Witches. This is going to help pretty much set up a pretty small funnel, but it's very noticeable because you're going to then go ahead and get your Titans into the base. This is where you'll use the Ice Golem, the Titans, and the Queen, so you want to lure the Warden over so you're able to get your way in. You want to make sure, though, that as you're pushing through the base, that you use the jump spell to get into the core. This should allow you to get massive value as you work yourself in. Since the Titans really don't need rage spells, or really any spells at all, as long as you can keep them alive with the healers, the rage spells are really nice at keeping their health topped off. This is why you'll pretty much have a large portion of your Titans moving through the core. They'll be able to deal a lot of damage, and they'll be able to really help a lot even if they start to thin out. This is where you've got the back end Royal Champion, where you can basically use her to clean up the rest of the base. I typically recommend this with Diggy, considering it's such a strong combination. You're more than likely going to be able to get rid of pretty much every single defense on the map. And thanks to that back-end Royal Champion, any leftover defenses are going to be super easy to take out thanks to the RC. So with that, each of these armies are so good. I personally have used every single one, and they're so good. So good luck with getting the 3 stars. If you're looking for easier strategies than all of these Warden Walks, Queen Charges, and Blizzards, you can also check out this video, which gives you the easiest for all of these Town Hall levels.